Hi, welcome to the recap room. In today's video, we'll be talking about an action, horror, and sci-fi film entitled The Meg. Warning, spoilers ahead. The movie begins with a rescue team searching for survivors inside a damaged nuclear submarine. Jason and his team have split up to save more crew. As Jason heads back to the rescue vehicle carrying another survivor, an unidentified creature hits the submarine. Seeing that something is crushing the hull, Jason instructs his teammates to return to the rescue vehicle. However, Marks and D'Angelo are trapped because the impact jammed the hatch. Jason was about to go back for them, but again, the creature attacks, causing the submarine to collapse. The room is now flooding, and so the two plead for help. But realizing that attempting rescue would result in the deaths of everyone they have already saved, he decides to close the vehicle and flee. Heller tries to open it up, but Jason stops him. Seconds later, the submarine explodes. The scene then transitions to Shanghai, China, 5 years later. Dr. Shang welcomes Jack Morris to Mana 1 research station. He then introduces him to his daughter, Sujin, their chief marine biologist. However, when they get to the O level, he can't help but to say wow to how good it looks inside. Dr. Shang explains that is the central hub from which researchers will access all 5 labs once it's finished. Sujin introduces the whales to him, pointing at Lucy and her daughter, Gracie. They then move to the dive control level, where Dr. Shang introduces him to the team. The mission pilot, Lori Taylor, greets Mr. Morris. Lori and her team are in a sub and on a mission to explore the deepest section of the Mariana Trench. Dr. Shang then explains that people believe that the Mariana Trench is the bottom, but he has a theory that what they believe is the bottom might actually be a layer of hydrogen sulfide. He believes there could be a completely new world beneath it. Mr. Morris then asks if Dr. Shang is wrong. The doctor replies that if that happens, Mr. Morris has wasted $1.3 billion. After the team from the Mana 1 gives their go signal, the origin crew then drives down and confirms it's just a cloud, not the bottom. The team rejoices as they find that Dr. Shang is right. There is life down there. The origin crew is amazed to see an abundance of never-before-seen flora and fauna below the thermocline. Lori then tells DJ that they got positive terrain to launch the rover. After seeing the magnificence of their discovery, Mr. Morris says it's a good investment. Suddenly, the origin crew radar picks up something. They see a huge creature moving fast in their direction. DJ tries to check what it is using the rover, however, the signal is interrupted. Because of it, the origin crew is ordered to turn right. However, the creature behind them attacks, causing them to lose contact with Mana 1. Before they lost the signal, Lori states that Jason was right. There is something down there. The team down at Mana 1 gathers and thinks of a way to rescue the origin crew. Heller says that the crew is still alive, however, they maybe have only 18 hours left. Since the ballast valves are jammed, the submersible can't rise by itself. Jax reveals that there is a 50-50 chance that the tanks will explode if they try to tow it, and hatch to hatch won't be possible either. Knowing that they alone won't be able to do a rescue mission, Max suggests that they tap on Jason Taylor for help. However, Dr. Heller refuses and says on their last mission with him, Jason left their friends to die because he had a pressure-induced psychosis. But Max defends him and says Jason did that because something attacked them, something big enough to take out a nuclear submarine. Despite the objections of Heller, Shang and Mac venture to Thailand to recruit Taylor. Mac greets his old friend Jason and says he can't believe he's living above a bar. He then introduces Dr. Shang. Jason knows him and says he has tremendous respect for his work. Jason knows they're in a serious problem, that's why they visited him, but he says he's not diving anymore. He's done being responsible for people. Even if they offer him money, Jason says no one can make him dive again. But Mac made him listen to a tape recording containing the dialogue between Lori, her crew, and Mana 1. Dr. Shang reveals Lori, Jason's ex-wife, and her crew is trapped below 11,000 meters. He fears that they have encountered the same species Jason did down there. Dr. Shang says he has divers with less experience willing to go, but he owes it to his crew to give this rescue the best chance of success. Down on the submersible, the origin crew tries to make it work again, while Toshi is busy writing a letter to his wife, just in case. After some time, the crew successfully returns the power, but the light from the watercraft attracts the creature and it caused to attack again. As a result of the impact, Lori stabbed in the stomach. At another place, Heller shows a video of his conversation with Jason before. It was about the incident 5 years ago. Heller did not believe that there was something there since there was no evidence. He called Jason a coward for leaving the rest of their team to die. DJ suddenly comes in and asks for Sujin. Jax reveals because of the recent attack, the crew is leaking oxygen. Sujin decides to go in there herself. Her plan is to take one of the gliders, grab the Origin, and tow her up. She goes to her daughter and says she just needs to rescue some of their team. She then goes to the glider and goes underwater. That night, the helicopter from Thailand arrives. The team informs Dr. Shang that his daughter went on her own to try and rescue the team. Jason then meets the investor, Mr. Morris, and Jax, the engineer. At the elevator, Dr. Shang asks Mac to bring Heller to the medical bay. Jason is surprised to know that Heller is part of the team. Heller checks Jason and says he's in perfect shape to go. The checkup isn't done yet, but Jason is in a hurry and asks Mac to take him to the sub. Inside the craft, Jason finds Sujin's daughter, who called him the crazy guy. She reveals she heard it from her mom and Dr. Heller. When she asks Jason if he'll save her mom, he promised he would. After a few preparations, the team then gives him a go signal to launch. But since it's been a long time since he did it, Jason took his time before descending. Mac then calls Sujin to inform her that Jason is on the way for rescue. He asks her to return immediately, but Sujin refuses. After some time, Sujin reaches the Origin and sets up the tow. However, when she was about to fire the magnetic hook, something hit her ship. It was a giant squid crushing the glider. Luckily, before the squid can crush her submersible, it was killed by an enormous shark. Jason mentions that it is a megalodon. He tells her to shut everything down and stay dark. However, Sujin lost control. Jason rescued her by dropping light to attract the shark. He asks her to blow her tank, but Sujin says he can help him save the crew. But seeing that her glider is damaged, she realizes she can't help now. Now that Dr. Shang's daughter is clear, Jason heads to the Origin. He connects his ship to the Origin and tries to open it. He then sees his ex-wife and says, "I told you so." Jason then pulls Lori to his ship. However, the radar picks up that the themeg is coming back. If it hits them while they are attached to the Origin, it means they are all going to die. The next one up is the wall. Seeing that they have no time left, Doshi decides to put the letter he wrote for his wife in the wall's pocket. When the shark returns and attacks the submersible before the evacuation has been completed, Doshi sacrifices himself to help the others escape. They finally arrive back at the Mana 1. The wall hands Toshi's letters to Dr. Shang. Sujin then asks Jason why he couldn't bring Toshi back. He mentions that he closed the hatch to save them. But Sujin is not convinced, saying he left him because he's the guy who leaves people behind. Jason visits Lori. Dr. Heller informs him that the puncture hit the liver, causing her to lose a lot of blood. However, she's now stable. He then apologizes and admits that he was wrong about the creature. The next day, Sujin visits Jason and apologizes for losing her temper. She thanks him for saving her and then leaves. The Mana 1 crew gathers again to meet about the megalodon. Sujin reveals that it's the largest shark that ever existed. Dr. Shang mentions that megalodons are thought to have been extinct until they found one. It is the discovery of a lifetime, but he says they need to proceed slowly. However, Mr. Morris refuses and says the Mana 1 has been doing nothing, even if it's the most expensive underwater marine biology camp. Therefore, they cannot slow down. Meanwhile, Jason enters, and Mei Ying thanks him for keeping his promise. Mr. Morris, being a businessman, wants to charge forward before someone else will get there first. Jason interrupts and says the thermocline is there for a reason. He says he doesn't want to stop them from exploring, but if they send people down there, he asks them to not call him again to save them if something happens. He made it clear to him that man versus Meg is not a fight but a slaughter. While discussing how to address it, Sujin's daughter Mei Ying witnesses the shark arriving at the station. Hearing the attack of the Meg, Sujin is concerned for her daughter. The team runs to check what happened. Sujin and Jason find Mei Ying perplexed by what she saw. Mag then arrives and sees the bite mark of a huge creature. Everybody gathers at the station, and Max commands the team to initiate emergency protocols. Jason asks they should turn off all the underwater lighting and restrict the crew to essential areas. The crew realizes that the meg followed them through a temporary break they caused in the thermocline. Knowing that time is of the essence, Jason suggests they have to find it and kill it, but Sujin suggests that they explore non-lethal options first. However, the meg destroys 3 nearby ships. The team rides a boat and finds Meg's location, but they were greeted by a lot of dead sharks with no fins. Dr. Shang says they were killed by shark poachers, all for a bowl of soup. They then notice that the megalodon is nearby. Dr. Shang reveals that they have a shark cage and spear guns on board. He suggests that they shoot it and inject it with something lethal, but Max says it's going to take 20 minutes to rig the cage. Sujin says the safest way to approach is without a vehicle. Nobody wants to do it, and so Jason volunteers to do it. He jumps into the water carrying the tracking dart and swims toward the huge shark. As the meg nears him, Jason successfully shoots it with the tracking device. However, when they pull him in, the meg notices him. With no other choice, Jason swims fast and asks them to start the boat. The huge creature follows him and tries to get him. But as it was about to devour him, they successfully pull him into the boat in time. On the boat, Jason and Jax talk about the shark cage. Jason isn't convinced that it's a good idea, but Jax says it could hold. As Sujin prepares to go into the cage, Jason approaches her. Knowing the shark anatomy, she tells him she knows where to shoot best to make the poison penetrate through the megalodon's skin. Jason tries to convince her to let him go instead, but she refuses and says she knows best. They then let her in the cage and drops her into the water. The wall drops food to lure the meg close to the cage. However, only small sharks approach her first. This gets the meg's attention and attacks her from below. She tries to hit it in the eye, but it's unsuccessful. The meg moves away and then returns in no time. This time, it bites her cage and pulls it, causing the boat from above to shake as well. She tries to shoot again and hits it with the poison. Since the cage is unbreakable, the shark decides to just swallow it. Hearing that Sujin is in danger, Jason dives to rescue her. The meg thrashes the cage around, causing the rope to snap. The crane partially gives in, yanking the cage out of the creature's mouth, but in the process, Jax falls into the water. Sujin's mask is now broken, and now she's losing air. The meg senses Jax in the water, and so it swims to her. Luckily, Morris sees her and drops a ladder to help her get in the boat. Jason is now on the shark cage. However, he can't open it. Sujin asks him to just go back, since she has no more oxygen, but Jason is still determined to save her. The crane falls down the water, and so DJ tells Jason to hurry up since it's going to pull the cage even further. Luckily, he pulls her out in time. At the boat, the wall suggests that they set up a trap to lure the meg in. It took the bait, but the wall is pulled into the water. The meg tries to eat Jason and Sujin, but the poison took its life out, and so the two escape. Dr. Heller and Jason try to resuscitate Sujin. Minutes later, she wakes up and thanks Jason for saving her again. He then leads her outside to look at the giant body of the meg in their boat. The wall asks Jason to take a picture of him, but as he moves closer, DJ moves it, causing him to be startled. They all laugh as the wall falls into the water. In their moment of triumph, a second, much larger meg emerges, devouring the wall and the dead meg. The ship topples as a result, and all of them are thrown into the water. They can't believe there's another meg out there. Dr. Morris helps DJ into the boat. While Sujin looks for his father, Jason found Dr. Shang in the water and pulls him in. Morris then calls for help. Jax and Dr. Heller are still in the water, and they see the bigger megalodon coming towards them. The doctor calms Jack and asks her to swim gently into the boat, but the meg is fast approaching. Heller decides to sacrifice himself by making large movements to be noticed by the meg instead of Jax. DJ starts to panic and complains that this is the reason why they shouldn't leave the station. They then see Mac swims to get a lifeboat. On their way back to Mana 1, the shark is still behind them, but it is deterred by a helicopter Morris called in. The critically wounded Dr. Shang apologizes to his daughter for being too tough on her and says his dream is for her daughter Mei Ying to grow up like her mom. He then takes his last breath and dies on the way. The team successfully arrives at Mana 1 and Mei Ying welcomes back her mom. That night, Sujin cries as she remembers her father. Jason visits her in the office and comforts her. As the group is gathered at the station, Mr. Morris tells them that he has informed the Chinese government about the Meg, as well as the other countries nearby. He says the Chinese are sending 2 destroyers to take it out. Dr. Morris is closing Mana 1 until the Meg is killed. An evacuation ship is coming there tomorrow morning. He then concludes by saying he's sorry for the losses of the crew members. That night, Morris rides a helicopter and leaves. It is then revealed that his men have prepared Semtex high-velocity demolition charges to kill the Meg themselves. Mei Ying is with Lori in the clinic, and Jason went there to visit her. She then reveals that she knows about Sujin, and she encourages it. Mei Ying reveals that her mom likes him too. Meanwhile, Morris and his men proceed with their plan. The guys from the helicopter drop down the bombs at the Meg's location and say they have killed it. Morris comes near and asks a guy to get its teeth for his desk, but the man comes back and says he doesn't have any. He thinks they killed the whale and not the shark, and so he commands them to leave immediately. However, they didn't notice that Morris fell into the water. The Meg swims to the dead whale location and eventually kills Morris. The next morning, Mac is disappointed to know that Morris didn't really inform the government. But Jason is not surprised, and so he asks Jack to hack into Morris' satellite tracking system to find the massive shark. Some of them are hesitant at first, but they then decide to kill the Meg to prevent it from taking any more lives. Jax reveals that the Meg is headed to Sanya Bay, home of the most densely populated beaches in the world. Mac tries to reach the authorities, but he says prehistoric sharks sounds like a prank call to them. Jason then shares his plan on how they can take the Meg down. They'll try to lure it down using the recorded shark sound in Sujin's phone. Down at Sanya's beach, the Meg starts to attack. The beach is crowded, which makes it the perfect hunted ground for the huge shark. While swimming, the tracker is accidentally removed from the Meg, and the rope from the beach's floaters is stuck in its fin. The Meg devours several beachgoers. Seeing that there's a shark nearby, the people start to swim out of the water. The Mana 1 crew uses a whale call to divert its attention toward them, and it worked. The Meg approaches Jason and Sujin. They work together to kill it. Sujin lures it toward Jason. However, when he was about to shoot it, his weapon didn't work. Some reporters arrive in helicopters, but a pilot is distracted by what's happening underwater that he didn't notice another helicopter is in front of it. The helicopter crashes into the ship, forcing everyone to jump into the water. Sujin leaves Jason to get to Mei Ying and the others. The Meg is heading towards them, and so Jason decides to give himself up to save them. He wounds the Meg and makes it bleed. However, it attacked him back and wrecked his glider. Luckily, Jason was able to get out and he pulls a metal and stabs it in the Meg's eyes. The blood of the wounded shark attracts a swarm of modern sharks that devours it. Sujin goes back and rescues Jason. They are then reunited with the rest of the Mana 1 crew. There, Jason considers taking a vacation with Sujin and Mei Ying. And that's where the movie ends. For more movie recaps like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well, so that you are notified on our next uploads. Thank you for watching.